Welcome to the Time Capsule, where we analyze history to find lessons worth learning. Today, we're going to discuss the tragic life of Alexander Hamilton and his rise from infamy in the British West Indies to his ultimate point of pinnacle, where he could have been the president, but unfortunately, due to his own personal habits, he was unable to obtain the position. This provides a clear example of how success can elude some people despite them being on the pinnacle of their desires. Hamilton was born on January 11th, 1755, in Charlestown, Nevis, British West Indies. Hamilton was born to James Hamilton, a Scottish trader, and Rachel Fawcett Labienne, of French Huguenot descent. He was educated by his mother and local clergymen in his early years. His father abandoned the family when Alexander was young, and his mother died when he was 13, leaving him an orphan. He was hired as a clerk in a trading company on St. Croix at the age of 11. The reason that his father abandoned the family was because he found that the family, or that his wife at the time, James Hamilton's mother, was still married to another man. So he had committed adultery, but he didn't know about it at the time. Hamilton published an eloquent letter about a hurricane in 1772, which gained him enough attention and financial support to go to attend college in America. He arrived in late 1772, just as the colonies were preparing for war with Great Britain. He was 14 at the time and went to attend King's College, now Columbia University. He was involved in revolutionary ideas. He joined a militia company, and defended the First Continental Congress's proposals. Hamilton joined the Continental Army as an artillery captain when the American Revolution broke out in 1775. He became General George Washington's aide-de-camp, displaying exceptional organizational skills. Hamilton realized that there was a lot of advancement opportunities in the up-and-coming country of the United States due to military action because of what he was seeing at the time. So he had threatened to leave Washington multiple times just because of this. And eventually he left Washington's staff in 1781, returned to the army, and played a role in the Battle of Yorktown. He was appointed by Washington to the command of a light infantry battalion in Marquis de Lafayette's division. Hamilton did a lot during his lifetime. For instance, he co-authored the Federalist Papers with James Madison and John Jay, promoting the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. They did this because they found that the current Articles of Confederation, which was the form of government at the time, was too weak. They thought a stronger federal government would be more powerful and able to govern the nation. Many people didn't like this idea because of the problems that they'd had under the control of the monarchy in the past when they were English subjects. Hamilton was appointed as the first Secretary of Treasury by George Washington in 1789. He advocated for a stronger central government, national bank, and tariffs to promote domestic manufacturing. He clashed with Thomas Jefferson and James Madison over issues like the national bank and the interpretation of the Constitution. Now that we've discussed a lot of the good things that Hamilton did, now we should discuss the thing that kind of spiraled out of control for his own personal life. Hamilton was seen by Maria Reynolds, who said her husband abandoned her and she sought some form of financial support. So James, out of the kindness of his heart, went to see the woman. And then he didn't return out of that back room for quite some time. They had an affair. The affair lasted from 1791 to 1792, and Hamilton was blackmailed by Reynolds' husband for silence. At one point, supposedly, he wanted the affair to continue. At others, he wanted it to stop. Reynolds' husband had a previous debt. It appears he was using her to pay off the debt. Reynolds' husband owed back pay to Revolutionary War veterans. Hamilton paid a princely sum of then $1,300 or $25,000 in today's money to be able to keep Reynolds silent. But eventually, Hamilton grew disgusted with this and created the Reynolds pamphlet to announce the affair and end the blackmail to clear his name. That ended his bid for a presidency. Some historians debate whether there was an actual affair or if Hamilton was just facing some financial setbacks. I like the story about Reynolds and the affair because I think it's more interesting as a story. And Hamilton had some other things that were problematic for him as well. For instance, his son Philip fought a duel to defend his father's name, and he died in 1801. Then there was the what really brought down Hamilton was his opposition of Aaron Burr in his attempt to become the president of the United States and the governor of New York. Burr was so furious that he challenged Hamilton to a duel, and Hamilton lost and later died the day after he was shot by Aaron Burr. And the most interesting thing is, Hamilton did all of this by the time he was 47. Once again, we're seeing that you can accomplish a lot by a young age. Look at Napoleon. Was he maybe 51 by the time he finally died? Look at all that he accomplished. But it was also the time period that he was in, too. Now we're going to discuss some of the lessons that we can take away from Hamilton. One of the most obvious and interesting ones I would say is that don't have an affair and have it reach national level of scandal, which it did in Hamilton's day. The first of its kind in that. That ended his opportunity to be able to become president. Unlike many of the other members of the founding parties or our founding fathers in the United States. Another good example of this is to embrace education and lifelong learning. Why else would a poor individual from the West Indies be able to come to a college inside the United States to be able to attend and then have the opportunity to be able to move on and become the aide de camp of the most powerful person in the nation at the time? It's because of his own education that he was able to do this. And the fact that he was reading constantly. One of the things that Hamilton really could have worked more on was compromise and collaboration. I think that he wouldn't have died if he would have been able to compromise and actually talk and share his viewpoints more thoroughly with Aaron Burr, for instance. And then there's a significant power in words, I would say, too, because Hamilton contributed a lot to the Federalist Papers, which highlighted some great arguments and persuasive writing. Like, one of the best examples of this from his own personal life was when he wrote that description of the hurricane that hit Nevis, which eventually gave him enough fame or attention to be able to travel to America. Writing can be powerful, especially if you write the right words to the right people. And the other thing too that's important is the power of relationships. This can't be stressed enough in our own personal lives. Hamilton's relationship with George Washington and others played a pivotal role in his career. Without his relationship to Washington, I don't think that he would have risen to the point of being the first treasurer of the United States. It highlights the importance of building relationships and networks. And these can provide support, mentorship, and opportunities for growth. And we should look in our own personal lives to see what people we could meet and talk to be able to grow in whatever direction we're interested in. And I can make a suggestion of even 2 people a week. If you build 104 new relationships in a year over a 5-year period, that's what? 520 new people that you can meet and have a strong, powerful relationship with in a particular direction of your life. That would be impactful, in my opinion. Thank you.